Baby's eating pub mix off the ground. I'm tattling on you. Oh, weirdo.
Kevin. How do I drag this to be on the next screen over?
It's funny because you're struggling with a Mac and I'm using my husband's Windows and I stink at Windows now.
Perfect. Okay, we got it. Yeah, I don't know how to work a Mac at all. So.
Okay.
He's right there.
So it sounds like we all kind of took our parts so far. What all is in the instructions? I don't have it all opened up on my husband's, but I can open it up if I need to.
Let's see WPO group work. For the WPO, the first 3 sections I finished, and then 4 I'm almost done with, but I haven't quite finished it. It'll take, I don't know, 10 minutes probably for me to finish it.
Okay, I did the internship manual. I don't know if you guys like what's there. A lot of it's in the appendix, if you're wondering where a lot of it is.
Okay.
It's in Appendix F, just because that's where it says to put the internship manual for the most part.
Uh-huh.
So, and then the other 2 parts, I don't know how, like, individual they have to be, but if we need, me and Sarah can split it or something. Because you've done a ton.
Yeah, I'll be able to finish 4 tonight, but we have a flight out of here at like 6 in the morning, so we're up before 4.
Okay.
So
I mean, so I haven't gotten on it yet. I have it pulled up, but I haven't done anything on it yet, so I can fill in whatever's needed.
okay.
He's right there.
Sounds good.
All right, so I have the scenarios pulled up, and it looks like there's only 3 questions for each scenario.
Yeah.
So that's not bad.
Okay.
So do we want to start with those?
Sure.
All right. So the first one, the Hawaii verdict came in the case of an 18-year-old high school student who fell to her death from a Maui hotel balcony. Lauren Crossan of Randolph, New Jersey, had traveled to Hawaii in 2004 with Suzanne Sadler, Sadler's daughter, and another New Jersey cheerleader to perform in the halftime show of the Hula Bowl. Within hours of her arrival at the Hyatt Regency Maui Resort, Crossan was seen drinking alcohol. Her body was found the next day on the hotel grounds. So what could have prevented this from occurring? And this is weird because it's like internship and volunteer scenarios. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know what that's supposed to, cheerleader going to a,
Yeah, I'm not sure who the volunteer is in this.
right?
Yeah, I don't know.
But that's kind of what they all look like. But even at the top of the sheet, it says.
That's a really weird scenario, but
Oh,
okay.
did I click on the right thing?
No, I'm on it too, and it's internship volunteer scenario. I mean, it says that at the top. So maybe they labeled it wrong.
So that she links the resolution. So I pulled up that one, and it says resolution. Read the article Sacred Chaperones by following the link to see the full news article. But that's like not a resolution. Oh, so we're invited to do that. We don't have to. Okay. So how could this have prevented? Well, she was under the age. She was only 18 and she was with her mom. So her mom not letting her drink alcohol.
Just like keeping alcohol out of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know, I feel like there's so much more to that story that we don't know or something.
Right.
Yeah. By the way, the mom looks like probably the chaperone.
Right.
Those are usually volunteer, obviously. Maybe that's what we're supposed to focus on. I don't know.
What the mom would do.
So that balance between, I don't know. I know some parents who just want to be their kid's best friend, but but they're not really the parent. I don't know if that is the case here. I don't know.
And like we've learned, volunteers are as responsible as employees, and so, if she's a volunteer for the school to go down as a chaperone, then she should be acting as a responsible adult, as not as a parent.
Yeah. Try to take the bias out.
Uh-huh. And so you're letting 18-year-olds have alcohol and...
Mm-hmm.
All right, so the next question is, the organization liable for a lawsuit? Why or why not? So we think the organization is the school she's leading for, because that's where the mom is volunteering.
Yeah.
Oh, they're pressing charges against the mom or against the organization?
The Hawaii verdict came in the case, but it doesn't say.
Maybe it's the facility suing the mom because she let that happen on their grounds, and they're not liable technically if it was under influence, underage, and the mom allowed it.
Yeah.
I would think.
Yeah, I could see that too.
So what's the question? Is just like...
Is the organization liable for a lawsuit? I mean, if you do it in the case of it, the chaperone, the volunteer, is as responsible as an employee, and they let that happen under their watch, then...
To an extent.
I could see that.
I don't know, but then you think about it, and like, how would the organization know that the mom would allow her daughter to drink? You know,
right. I mean, it doesn't say who witnessed the girl having the alcohol.
Then it is something you put on an application. I let my kids drink. You know, like,
right. Yeah. I mean, you'd have to, whoever was the one that saw her drinking alcohol and not reporting or doing something about it, because it might not have been her mom, But then, okay, her mom's going down as a chaperone, and she's not aware of the two daughters or two girls she's looking after, not doing her job.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I would say yes.
At the same time, though, anytime I go, like, you have to sign a bunch of releases of liability of things for the organization, saying that if anything happens, it's my fault.
Well, I guess with interns, they have like that. If the intern acts negligently and you train them, then you're covered. But I don't know how that works for a volunteer.
Well, and that's the thing. You've gone through the training steps, and you've held up your part of it, and they do something, and I would count that as gross negligence because she let her daughter most likely drink underage, which led to an accident. What it sounds like. So, I don't know. I would almost make the mom be accountable in that way. And the fact that if she got the training, there's not much else the organization can do to stop bad parenting.
I mean, if the organization didn't do any training, then
yeah, more liable. Or any background checks or something like that.
Yeah, it was just like any parent sign up your chaperones and did no training about what to do as a chaperone and responsibilities.
Go get Dad. Go get Dad.
All right, so the next question, how would you go about repairing this situation?
Finding out the details for sure.
Yeah.
Because that'll really build whether the case was against the mom or the organization. I would think.
Yeah, and I think just as an organization, making sure that your chaperones, your volunteers are very much trained and they know what's acceptable and what can happen if they don't follow the rules that are set before them.
Yeah, for sure. I don't know, if it gets ruled negligence on the mom, I would almost, like, as a facility, keep that on the papers, like, hey, it wasn't us.
Yeah.
Like, we did our part, I promise. Sometimes people see that dirty laundry type stuff in the news, and then they don't like your organization for it, but you have to be able to say, no, it wasn't us.
Yeah, for sure. All right, should we go to number 2?
Sure.
All right. In Maryland, 2 men, former volunteer firefighters in Anne Arundel County, have filed a sex abuse lawsuit claiming that Louis A. DeCamara, a former president of the volunteer fire company, sexually abused them on multiple occasions when they were teenage recruits. The men said that the fire officials ignored them when they reported the incident. The Anne Arundel County government and the fire company are named in the sex abuse lawsuit.
Wow. That's not something to ignore.
No? Yeah, if there's anyone coming to you and you're ignoring them, you're in.
There's several. If there's more than one person coming to you, you really can't be skeptical of that.
Yeah.
Because that's like 2 kids coming up, you know. I'm pretty sure they didn't devise a plan to ruin someone's life or anything. They know what they're talking about. Especially teenagers. I mean, they know what's appropriate and what's not sexually. So, especially with another man. That's pretty, like, with your own sex, it sounds weird, but you know where the appropriateness is.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
So.
So I guess we kind of answered how could you have prevented this from occurring, and the people that they went to and told about it, the officials that just ignored it. I mean, I guess that doesn't prevent the abuse happening, but it would have, I don't know, prevented it continuing. And,
well, and anything like that where, I don't know, personally, where there's 2 people saying something like that, I would feel like there has to be some type of what's it called, suspension or something while investigating, so that way those people feel validated in what they've just said. So that way you're not letting it further itself if it is true. Be able to reach more teenagers.
Yeah. So, is the organization liable for a lawsuit? I would say it is because they ignored it when the kids came.
Yeah.
I agree with that.
Plus, when it was the president of the fire company that was abusing them.
He would have that training.
And so, you know, the company.
Well, it looks like they're just protecting their own. Like, that's literally what it sounds like to me.
Right. Oh, yeah, for sure.
Yeah, when you have something filed like that, if they didn't take any documentation of it either, that's wrong with them, and they could get in a lot of trouble for that.
Yeah.
Like, complaints themselves if they didn't document that somehow. Get in a ton of trouble, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Their responsibility.
So how would you go about repairing the situation?
I think at that point you let the people in your organization that have been accused go to court.
Yeah.
And like face the different litigations that have come upon them because
and I don't know if the organization would need to provide therapy or the financial means for the boys to go to therapy. You know, if that's something they would need.
Well, and I feel like a lot of it is to fire those people as well, because they weren't doing their duty and nobody else, like, they can't be trusted at that point if, you know, there's enough evidence to prove that they didn't report it and they ignored it.
Yeah.
So I would definitely get rid of them because that's not good. You don't want that happening again.
Yeah.
So.
All right. Scenario 3?
Yep.
Okay. Mayor Mark Funkhauser took his city council colleagues to court on Friday seeking to overturn a measure that bans his wife, Gloria, from volunteering regularly in his office. The lawsuit in Jackson County Circuit Court makes a new phrase in the ongoing battle between the mayor and the council over how Funkhauser handles his office. His mayoral powers and his public role. Council members said that the ordinance had been promoted because Gloria was a full-time unpaid worker in her husband's office and had become a source of controversy.
So she's not actually hired on by them. She just gives tons of advice.
Yeah, so basically she had been volunteering a bunch, but was there so much that it was a full-time unpaid worker. Then it wasn't just a volunteer.
Yeah, which is bad because then she's not going by the codes of an employee. I mean, even though volunteering is pretty close, still there's certain things that you sign out for as an employee.
Right. And I mean, I feel like with her being, the mayor's wife, I mean, she's going to start knowing a bunch if she's basically an unpaid worker.
Yeah, she would know a lot of
things about the city council and personal information. And it said that it was I don't know, that it kind of was squandering his public role and stuff because of her.
No, that makes sense. Sorry.
Yeah, I didn't even think of that.
Can you get her, please? Tyler?
Yeah.
Can you get her?
Yeah.
Sorry, she's pulling my hair.
No, you're totally all right.
All right, so what could have prevented this from occurring?
Well, I know a lot of facilities and different businesses, they don't allow family to work together.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just because it's kind of a sensitive subject if something goes wrong. I don't know.
Yeah, so some kind of laws that prevent that.
Yeah, or even just policies that they have to be in a different department or they can't.
Or a certain amount of hours that volunteers can be there for.
Yeah.
I mean, doing a WPO, I'm sure there's things in there that talk about the roles of volunteers or something like that. I mean, they've got to have something in their company that volunteers can help with these kind of matters, but others are confidential and
because of things like HIPAA.
Yeah.
Yeah. I know that right now in 472, it's pretty hard to do the one-on-one outlines that we do, like treatment outlines, because you can't know any of their diagnosis.
Right.
Volunteers. Yeah. And so you can't help nearly as much as you want to. Because you're assuming. That's kind of hard as volunteers, but I can see why. Because I'm not employed there. I don't need to know their lives.
Right.
So.
For sure. All right. So, do you think the organization is liable for a lawsuit?
I mean, it depends on what the wife knows and what she tries to do. Like, if she's trying to fire people or, reconstruct the facility, then yeah, they shouldn't allow her to do that.
Yeah. I guess it does depend on the role that she's taken on.
Yeah, if she's harassing others in some way, then like telling them how to do their job and looking over their shoulders and things. As a volunteer, you can't do that. So a lawsuit, yeah, I could see that happening.
Yeah.
So it all depends on the details. But yeah, I
we're definitely missing some of those.
Pretty hefty amount of evidence from what it sounds like with her staying there full time and in his office and trying to help and stuff. And
yeah, I mean, if it's causing controversy in the office, then there's probably things going on that shouldn't be.
That should be addressed.
Workers aren't. Yeah. So how would you go about repairing the situation?
I think just at that point, depending on what she's done, almost tell her she can't volunteer anymore since she's family or she's overstepped her bounds. That are very much have restraints for her. If that makes sense, like time limits and different things that she can't do, like you said, like task domains that she can do and that she can't.
Right. And I think just in general, not just against her, but they need to have some kind of volunteer policy. Okay, families can't work in the same department and only this many hours, and these are their duties, you know.
Yeah, and they should address it with the fellow workers if it's becoming a problem, about what steps they're taking to fix it. Because that can really kill your teamwork if they feel like underappreciated or overjudged and stuff.
Yeah. So if they know changes are being made, and then the other employees will know what changes have been made. So if things in the future aren't going as planned, nope, like we talked about this is, you know, a policy we have now. We need to follow it.
Mm-hmm.
Make sure they're involved so it doesn't happen again.
Yeah. I think that's good.
All right. Number 4. This one's a little bit long. Two former volunteers at Bergen County Animal Shelter alleged they were let go for exposing animal cruelty at the facility and notified the county on Wednesday that they will file a lawsuit. And this is in like quotation marks. The rest of them, oh, I guess they have been. I haven't noticed that. Never mind. Okay. In notice of claim sent to county officials, Michelle Cohen of Hackensack of Glenn Gilbert of Wallington said the termination was a violation of their First Amendment right to free speech. In an interview Thursday, Cohen and Gilbert said they discovered last year that the animals at the Teterboro shelter were being euthanized by injecting drugs into their hearts, a procedure they have called inhumane and outdated. They also said animals were killed, although they could have been treated and adopted. Gilbert, a former Jersey police officer who volunteered regularly at the shelter since he retired 16 years ago, said he and Cohen asked the county officials to conduct an investigation. We decided to go public because we got no response to our complaint, said Gilbert, explaining why he posted several comments on pet-related websites and message boards that summer in which he detailed the allegations.
Okay.
All right.
So they're trying to get to light the inhumane actions that the shelter's taking with euthanizing.
Right.
Okay.
So they were your volunteers and terminated as volunteers.
The thing is, did they take it up with the place they were volunteering at before they just reported it to the county? Does that make sense?
Yeah, I'm just looking back through it. I don't know. I mean, it says that they went to county officials and the county officials didn't do anything. So then they went to media. But I don't know if, they brought it up with the company itself.
Yeah.
I mean, they shouldn't.
I can see that causing anger and getting them kicked out.
Right.
That's the reason why.
Right.
I don't know necessarily if they had like a right to kick them out, though, to be honest, because they're just exposing practices that they see, which I know a lot of places that have done that with social media, and I mean they don't get in trouble for it. So
yeah, because I mean there's the right to free speech, so that's them stepping up. So they shouldn't have got terminated for that for sure.
Yeah. But I don't know, the fact that the county didn't do anything about it makes me wonder if, like, policy-wise, the county's okay with what they're doing and knows. I mean, I'm not totally sure there. Because some counties are behind other counties and stuff like that. They have different practices and it's okay. So.
Well, going through the scenario again, it looks like Gilbert was one of the volunteers, and he said they decided to go public because they didn't get any response to their complaints. So that would be,
And
they tried to take it up with them first, but
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, I wasn't sure if that was like the complaints were to the court and they got no response, or if it was like to the
Shelter.
facility and they got no response, so then they went higher to the court. I'm not sure quite which one they took it to, or they didn't get response from.
Stop.
All right, so the questions. What could have prevented this from occurring? I'm still not sure like whose side we're on here.
Yeah.
um,
I think it's kind of hard because it's like a lot of these scenarios, like I can see both sides.
uh-huh.
So it's a little harder. I would say though, I can see how it would be illegal of them to do that in ways because they don't work there. They just volunteer.
Yeah, but I mean, I think
Assuming
the volunteer,
they know for sure that they're doing that. Because if they're assuming that they're doing that, but they have no proof, that's really bad.
right?
And posting it on media. But I mean, I would think they would know if they're going to go as far as to post it on media like that.
Yeah, I mean, I would think that.
And they said it was a police officer, right? Was volunteering there, and he knew the laws, so.
Yeah, because I would think
Police
that
officers doing it. That's probably a bad sign that he knows.
Yeah, I mean, a facility like that should probably have some kind of rule of, okay, after the animals have been here for 3 months or for 6 months, or or if it's going to cost so much to heal them, and it's not worth the money to heal them, then we can euthanize them. I feel like there would be some kind of policy book or rule of when this is okay, when we should do it, and if they're not following that, and they're just, we just don't want to try, then there's a problem. But if they're like following their procedures,
Yeah.
But I don't know, maybe they don't even have a book, or a whatever policy to follow, and so that would cause problems.
Yeah. Good job. Sorry, she's figuring out how to clap.
No, you're good.
She's really excited. The went snatch. Yeah, I don't know. I think if there's a police officer pointing fingers, that should say something as to what their county believes in with that.
Yeah, he's
So
gonna.
I would say I'd probably be on the side of the volunteers that they got kicked out because the shelter got mad that they got caught.
Yeah. I mean, that's kind of what it seems like, that the shelter's not doing something right because they terminated the volunteers.
Yeah, and you do have the right to speech, and if they're watching it happen, I would think that's the reason why they reported it, not necessarily just assuming. So.
Yeah. And so I would think, like, is the organization liable for a lawsuit? Probably, like, for firing under false pretenses or whatever they call it. I don't know.
Yeah, I think so. That, and for what they're doing, if it is against their county's rules, then they should get in trouble for it because there's been eyewitnesses that it's happening. So if that's the case, you're pretty underwater with that one.
Right. So how would you go about repairing this situation? Getting rid of the employees that are doing it, making sure there is a known policy at the shelter of, what's okay.
Okay, yeah.
Some sort of discipline for sure, for either not following the policies or for there not being policies to follow.
Or, if they are doing an outdated euthanation, then finding a more up-to-date one that is less inhumane.
And it's used vastly in your area, so that way it's not contradictory.
Right. All right. Number 5, are we good to move on?
Yeah.
Okay. an insurance company that paid out the claim of a Nova Scotia couple after a devastating fire ensuing two volunteer fire departments. Is suing two volunteer fire departments, claiming the damage could have been avoided. The lawsuit by Aviva is against the North Sydney and French Vale volunteer departments. The fire departments were called to a home in North Sydney in July 2007. They put out a blaze in a back bedroom, but it reappeared a few hours later and destroyed the rest of the home. Larry and Diane Stonehouse spent the next 9 months in hotels. A statement of claim filed in Nova Scotia Supreme Court in Halifax says the fire departments didn't have any specialized equipment designed to detect heat and flame or turn to someone that did.
Hmm.
All right.
So as far as they could tell it was out, but they didn't use any like detection thing. I don't know. I don't really know anything about putting out fires.
I don't either, but it sounds like there's some kind of equipment to,
Yeah.
detect heat.
They're just really out.
There's still something.
Yeah.
And so how they could have prevented it, well, having the right equipment, and if they didn't, like it says in the end, turning to somebody that does. Okay, we don't have this equipment, like, we're going to a fire, we need to borrow it. Or training, if they don't have the funds to do the equipment, training the volunteers of how to make sure there's not heat coming from somewhere or a possible place it could light up again. Making sure that the volunteers know how to train and check and whatever.
Now are most firefighters actually volunteer?
Well, this says that it's two volunteer fire departments, and so I feel like it's
firefighter I know is actually. I don't know. I mean, they're trained.
uh-huh. Right. Yep.
Wait, so what's the sorry. I just kidding, baby.
No, you're good. It's a fire started in a house. The fire departments came, put out the fire, but there was still like some heat. And so the fire started up again and burnt the rest of the house, even though they thought it was out because they didn't have any equipment to detect heat. So I think even though the volunteers are trained, maybe if you don't have the equipment, doing like a specialized training in detecting heat.
Yeah. Well, and I don't know if they could really get in trouble for that. Because volunteers are not nearly as actual firefighters.
Uh-huh.
So.
All right, so is the organization liable for a lawsuit? I don't know.
That's kind of a hard one. I mean, because it's not really fair to get on the volunteers.
I mean, if it's a volunteer fire station or department, it makes me think that it's just kind of, we don't have a fire department, but when there's a fire, volunteers come, and they'll help put it out, and so it makes me not want to jump all over them, because it doesn't seem like it's a structured fire department that you would find in a city, that it's workers and they get paid and they have money coming in, a budget to buy new equipment.
Well, and they have the education.
Uh-huh.
So
they've been trained and so
I don't know if I would give them a hard time. But is make more training after that.
Mm-hmm.
I'd like to put in a reservation.
I wouldn't.
Yeah.
Because they're not getting paid.
Right now.
a little different type of services, I think.
Yeah, I mean, they didn't quite put it out until the fire came back in and destroyed the house. But I mean, they were I don't know. This one's hard.
Yeah. I mean, if they had policies to know the heat detecting technology and to bring it, then yeah, they should be fine. But if they didn't know, it's a little more negligent, a lot less, like hateful actions or,
Yeah. Is he doing good or bad? Yeah. I don't know whose side we should be on, because it's kind of hard to, I don't know, there's just not enough information to know what kind of fire department it is.
Yeah.
I mean, are all fire departments like volunteer based?
Well, what standard are they like held up to that end?
Mm-hmm.
Because I know volunteers happen a lot up in the mountains. Because the fire department's so spread out from where it covers that they can't get there as fast as volunteers.
Yeah, I mean, that's up in Nova Scotia. So I'd maybe say no, just because we don't really have all the details, and they did what they could if it was just a volunteer, people are coming together. If it's a structured facility, then yeah, they should have the equipment or be able to get a hold of the equipment. So then, yes, would be liable, yeah. But so I guess it kind of just depends. So how would you go about repairing it? Well, in the future, make sure you have the equipment, or knowing how to make sure that the fires are fully put out.
Yeah. It's kind of like having a instructor and then getting mad when people get stuck in an avalanche.
Uh-huh.
They're not as skilled.
Yeah.
It's not really fair to blame nature on them.
Yeah.
So.
All right. Well, I need to run.
I think we're good, right?
Yeah, we got through all of the scenarios, all of the questions. And I will finish up section 4 tonight, and I'll just text you, Heather, when I've got that done. It shouldn't take me long.
Okay, and I have a question. I did the internship manual, but I used the format from my internship packet. Is that bad? I referenced it and changed it up.
I think if you reference it, then it should be fine.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Because a lot of it is anyways, the hours, the consecutive weeks, and everything. I changed that a little bit.
Uh-huh. Yeah, as long as you reference it, then I don't think it should be a problem.
Okay. All right.
So, all right, perfect.
Thanks, guys.
Sorry I was so rushed and quick.
No, you're